I think we're live. I think we're live. I think we're live. Katie's in the studio. Hey, everybody. It's Tiffany. I see a bunch of eyeballs popping on quickly. Some of you are early birds. You were here already. Welcome to the Home Organization Challenge. I can see everybody just ding, ding, ding as everybody pops on Facebook and YouTube. And so I'm going to have the question of the day is, can you hear me? So I know there's a little bit of a delay. I think there's a 3-second delay, but I want to know, hello, Trisha and Suzanne and Susan and Bobby and Kim. Hi, Kim Bierman. And all y'all gals, thanks so much for joining me. And Aileen, I'm so glad to be here. You don't know how exciting this is for me to be launching into this brand new sort of adventure with all of you along for the ride. Okay, good. Yay, everybody can hear me. Okay, so usually Katie King is in my ear, and I just tried to call her, and I got this weird message that says, all circuits are busy. And I'm going to try her one more time. We'll see what happens. And then she usually watches the questions for me. I have a new setup here. Hi, Kathy. Okay, now I've got Katie in my ear. Oh, she was there and then she's gone. All right, call me back, Katie. You got to turn off your microphones over there. Welcome, everybody, to the Home Organization Challenge. Challenge number 1. This is a 16-week class. It's going to happen every Tuesday night at okay, here we go. Here's Katie. All right, Katie, are you with me? All right. So it's going to happen every Tuesday night at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to tackle a different little area of your home. We're going to tackle a big area of your brain and a little area of your home every week. And hopefully at the end of 16 weeks, you're going to have a well-organized home, or you're going to be well on your way to getting your home organized and keeping your home organized. So thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who bought the book, I want to make sure you downloaded the workbook, and Katie will throw up some links to that as we go. We have a new page on the website. Oh, also, side note, I did send out an email earlier this afternoon with a link to today's handout. So class number 1, landing zones and launch pads, there is a handout that goes along with the class today. So you can follow along with your handout. You can take notes on it. Some of the things that I didn't mention, maybe I did mention the email, a notebook is going to be a great thing to have so you can gather everything together. And then also we'll put up some links to this. I'm just using a regular 3-ring notebook that has, the clear insert sheet, but I did take the cover sheet and the spine insert, and there's a different spine insert. If you don't want all those words, you could just have this one. Those are printable and downloadable off the website as well. And like I said, Katie will get some links for you as we go along today. We also put up a new page on the website. I'm going to put it up on the stage here. Maybe I am. Let's see. There we go. So this is the homepage of our website. And you can see up here in the corner, it says, inside the red circle, it says HOC, and you're going to be able to drop down from that. And this is where you're going to find all the feedback from all the classes, all the handouts, everything that I talk about, the class summary. It's all going to be there every week. That will go up and go live. As soon as we can put the YouTube video on there as well. So you'll be able to just go to that one page on the website, and you'll have the video and the lecture notes and links to all the handouts and downloads, and all that stuff will be right there every week. So it'll be really easy for you to find and use. Okay, business. If you have a question, put it in the feed, put it in the chat with a bunch of question marks or the word question in all caps, and Katie King is going to try and watch that feed, and then she will say that question to me in my ear. Sometimes she asks me a question and I just say the answer, and you guys will have no idea what I'm talking about. So I apologize for that. I'm going to try to remember to repeat the question back. Katie, you could give me a prompt on that too if you think about it, so that I do actually, so it's not so goofy. Okay, what are we going to start with? Oh, I wanted to talk about this though, again. So your notebook, right? So inside the notebook, I like this kind of notebook because I have my my book right there. And I have the workbook for the book in here as well. And then I started my sections for the classes. So this is number 1, launch pads and landing zones. This title sheet is also printable on our website. So you'll get the link to that as well. So you'll be able to, all the things I have, you'll be able to have as well. Okay. We're going to start with what we'll always start with, the lecture portion of the class. And this is where we talk about what's happening in your head and how to sort of tackle some of the biggest issues around getting organized. And if you read the book, you're already going to know this. Some of you haven't gotten your books yet. So I'm going to try and cover the topic kind of from a 30,000-mile view, but so that you all understand. So there's this little thing called the cognitive load of clutter. And it's the first chapter of the book. And it's something that lots of us don't really realize. But when your home is a mess, or your desk is a mess, or a small area is a mess, it's a burden on your brain, because your brain is always trying to solve problems, always trying to figure things out. And when things are messy and in disarray, your brain is a little bit more frenzied, a little bit more on high alert. What's going on here? How am I going to find what I need? This is something you don't even realize is happening inside your head, but it is. And in the book, I write about 2 different scenarios, 2 different people, 2 true stories. One of them about a gal whose home is immaculate and very well organized. It's called A Tale of Two Hair Clips. And she had a daughter, tween-age daughter, who showed up at home after school one day with a bunch of her friends to hang out at the house. And this, she loved having her daughter's kids over. I changed the names of all the people in these stories. So if I say the wrong name, stick with this. The title of this story is correct. Tale of Two Hair Clips. I didn't think about that when I changed names. Okay, so her daughter comes home with all these friends, and the mother is excited, and she's making lemonade, and the kids are hanging out. And as she takes the lemonade tray to where the kids are, she notices that there are 2 hair clips on the bathroom counter. Her home is immaculate, but there's 2 hair clips. And she says to her daughter, hey, you need to run in there and get that cleaned up in the bathroom. And then she goes back to the kitchen and she's making snacks. And as she comes back, she notices that still hasn't been done. And so she's back with her daughter and hey, you need to get in there and get that cleaned up. And it takes a 3rd time of her coming through, doing something, and then saying to her daughter about these 2 hair clips. Now, to most of us, we would never notice them. We would never notice 2 little hair clips on the counter in an immaculate, beautiful home. But for her, it was overwhelming. This cognitive load on her of this little bit of clutter was crazy, right? Kind of the extreme. And then we have Melissa on the other hand, and she's kind of got this messy area where she puts everything down at home and things just kind of spill off the counter. And she kind of notices there's something wrong, but it's not anywhere near as big a deal. She's like, oh, I need to fix that. Right. So your cognitive load, I guess the point of this is going to be most likely somewhere in between. Most of us notice it occasionally, but not all the time. But know that it's happening in your head, which is one of the reasons why being organized and having things easy to find and easy to use is so important. So the cognitive load of clutter is one of the things that we're trying to relieve here, right? In order to do that, you're going to have to purge some things. Another thing we talk about in the book, right? Chapter 6, something must go. So you have to think of purging is not about less, it's about limits, right? You have limited time, you have limited space. Every container, every drawer has a limited amount of space. Every bookshelf has a limited amount of space. Every room, every home has a limited amount of space. And so when you think about purging and being able to give things away, donate things, whatever it is, you need to think about it. This is about limits, not less. Like what is good in my life? What is moving me forward? What is a benefit? Now, my goal in this class is not to teach you that or to tell you that you have to become a minimalist and that you have to get rid of everything. To the contrary, my goal is to help you think about the things that you do have, make great decisions about them. And those decisions might be that you're going to keep most things. Some people will purge a lot. There's also a story in the book called The Shoebox, which is about helping my sister organize her craft room. And she had a giant craft room, lots and lots of stuff in it, new house. This was going to be her dream craft room. It was the last thing that she was going to do to get her new house ready to go, right? She'd been busy making, all the public spaces beautiful and nice and putting everything away. And so this was her prize, was to have this craft room. And so my mother and I flew in to help her get it organized. And I said to her, okay, what's your purge goal? How much stuff are you going to get rid of? And she just went, nope, closed her eyes, body language, the whole thing. I'm not getting rid of anything. I love all my stuff. And that's a common reaction, right? We have worked hard for our stuff or collecting our stuff or whatever it is, whatever attachments we have to these things, we don't want to get rid of any of it. Well, on the floor of this room was an empty shoebox. And I said to my sister, can you just fill that shoebox with stuff? And she went from this to like that shoebox. Sure. Everything changed, right? Her whole body language changed. She was relaxed, just the shoebox. When you can relax about it, when you set your purge goals, they don't need to be crazy and they shouldn't be stressful. They should be something that's attainable and realistic so that you feel like you can get it done. One of the great things about tiny tasks, including tiny purging, some people will set huge purge tasks, right? Purge goals, but it can be anywhere in the spectrum. And that's the thing that's important to remember about everything that we're learning and talking about, is that everybody is going to be different in it. But when you can set an attainable purge goal, lots of things happen in your head. Like my sister, there's no fear anymore. There's no stress. There's no fight or flight. I just have to fill this little box. I can do that. So this sort of fight or flight response disappears. And this also sensation comes in like, I can do that, right? So when you feel like you can do something and you're going to accomplish something, that feels good too. And don't underestimate any of those feelings. They are all going to be amazing. And these little tiny things that you do, it's going to feel amazing. And you should, relish it. You should enjoy it when you feel that, because when other things are hard, it's those good feelings that are going to keep you moving forward. Okay. So purging is about limits, not less. And you're going to need to set a purge goal for every little section of your house that we go through. So get your mind around that. And again, if you read the book, chapter 6, Something Must Go, it's just all about purging. Okay. One of the other things that really stops people from being able to accomplish their organization goals is the people you live with. So whether that's spouses, partners, kids, they all have to buy in. They all have to agree with what you're doing, and they all have to agree to follow along with it. And again, everybody has, these different relationships where they handle things differently. There are some kind of tips in the book about how to handle things with different kids of different ages, and how to get kids to respond and your husband to respond. And there's this whole other thing that I don't have down to talk about, but it's in the book as well, about resentment and how to kind of deal with that. But you do have to get the buy-in. So in each project, each week, you need to think about who do I need the buy-in from for this particular area of the house. When you're organizing your nightstand or your cosmetic drawer, if there's guys watching, your toolbox, you don't have to get the buy-in from anybody, right? But when you're organizing something like your landing zone or your launch pad, you have to get the buy-in from anybody else who's going to be using that space as well, because you want it to stay organized. So I met Kaylin Fay and her mother in Illinois, and Kaylin may be on tonight, I'm not sure. But one of the things that we're talking about, the rules we raise our families by, And one of their family rules was clear is kind. You need to say what you want in a kind way. You need to be able to ask for things in a kind way. And this is a great opportunity for you to exercise that. Clear is kind. Be clear with what you want, and don't be mad if you don't get it, right? You just have to figure out how to get it. And just because you're not getting it right away doesn't mean you can't get it. So, but generally, when you ask for what you want, most people, kids and husbands and partners, they want you to be happy, and they're going to help you any way that they can. So get the buy-in. And then a really, really big thing is to go public. You have to tell someone or a couple of people what you're doing, and they need to be the kind of people that you can depend on to hold you accountable and to also be encouraging, right? So find somebody in your friend group or a work friend or a coworker or somebody. It's great if you have somebody doing the challenge with you. And I've recommended this. Kim says, how do you get over the guilt of having to purge because you spent money on it? In other words, that wasn't cheap, so I can't get rid of it. Okay, we're going to pack it. That is a great question, right? So in that chapter about purging, it talks about all the reasons that we don't let go of things, and money is a big one. And I want you to think about you've already spent the money. The money is gone. Keeping something you're never going to use now, not only is it making you feel guilty every time you look at it, right? So you have this little bit of anxiety every time you see it or you come across it. It's taking up space in your home. It's taking up time you might be doing something else or using some other way. You've got this thing to deal with. So the thing that you need to reconcile first is the money's gone. And holding on to that thing is never going to change the fact that the money is gone. Unless you can sell it to someone else and recoup some of your money. And that may be part of your strategy in this, as you go through this, is I'm going to start my garage sale box. That may be part of your donate scenario, which we're going to talk about here, is getting that thing out and putting it somewhere else. So the thing that you have to reconcile, and no matter what it is, Kim, I'm guessing it's craft supplies, but it could be clothing. Like I worked with one gal who bought this expensive sweater. She shouldn't have bought it. She couldn't really afford it. And she had it never really fit her right. She never really liked it, but she couldn't get rid of it. Every time she came across that sweater in her closet, it brought on this like pang of guilt. Well, this was years later, and now she could afford the sweater, right? But when she bought it, she kind of hid it from her husband. It was, just one of those things. But there were all this emotional stuff around this purchase that she had made, and she couldn't get rid of it because it was expensive. Now you could sell it somewhere, the Real or Etsy or one of those places maybe, but so you could recoup some of your money. But the emotional baggage that you're carrying with that thing, it's not going to go away either until you get rid of the thing. So there's other ways besides selling it. You can transfer that thing to someone else. Let's say the sweater. I have this sweater. I spent a lot of money on it. I don't want to donate it. I don't want my husband to know. I just am carrying this guilt, whatever. But if you give it to someone else, at least you have some satisfaction of somebody is using this, right? Somebody's actually going to use it. But the thing I want you to sort of become your mantra is the money issue is money's gone. It's never coming back. So you just have to say that and quit dwelling on it and think, what would I do with this space now? How could this better serve me? Or just getting it out of this space is going to leave me more space, which we're going to talk about in a minute as well. But yeah, that's the most guilty thing, right? The biggest guilt thing. And again, I will get more into chapter 6 in the next couple of lessons. Obviously, I can't do the whole book in one day. My goal was to be 30 minutes. So 30 minutes a night. I don't want to take up all of your life doing this. So we'll break things down. And then if you haven't bought the book, It's available on Amazon as an e-reader, or you can buy, if you want an autographed copy, you can buy it on our website. It's a little bit more expensive because I have to send it to you, but it is available on Amazon. I do have lots of copies. I know I just got yesterday. Finally, the brunt of the load. I'm happy to sign it and send it to you. It does take a little extra time that way. And I know one of the things that I said was this class is free, and it is free. You do not have to buy the book. It's $15 or $20 to buy it on our website. But hopefully, if you think about it this way, I spent $15 to get 16 classes. And it's really helpful. And the workbook's free. You can download the workbook without reading the book even. It's right on the website. But it's really going to help you. It's going to help you get your brain around it. And if someone has read this, Sister P4 says, I have all my work clothes and I retired 6.5 years ago. Then that went past too fast. I couldn't see the whole thing. Let's see if I can scroll up here on my screen and read that. 6.5 years ago, I struggle with the money issue. Okay, so here's another thing, right? We talk about transferring that. I don't know what kind of work clothes you have, Sister P4, but sorry, I didn't know I was clicking on things. Oh, that's only on my screen. Sorry. Oh, that was Katie. Katie putting it up. Okay, okay, go. So you donating those, there's all kinds of women's shelters, and there's all these places where they teach women how to interview for a job. And so one of the things that makes it easy for people to give stuff up is when they know it's doing good for someone else. Again, there's some stories in the book about this in chapter 6. But in that situation, it makes it so much easier. I had this experience myself, to give something away when there's some good that's going to come of it, not in your closet. And you also have to keep in mind that your closet will be so much more user friendly when you're not fighting through all of your old work clothes, not only physically, but mentally. Because every time you go in there and you see all those old work clothes, your brain says, why am I keeping these? What am I doing with all this stuff? I don't need it. It's just here. I should give it away. And all these things happen in your head rather than you going into your closet and picking what you want and maybe being really excited about, like, oh, I could pick anything. I can see all these things. It's easy to get dressed in here. It's easy to find everything I need because I don't have all that stuff in here anymore. So this is all part of that cognitive load. When you start to look at the mental part of what this stuff in your life means, it will become easier to let go of it, especially if you have some strategies for letting it go, like donating it somewhere that's really where it's really going to make a difference. I used to live in Tacoma, and one of the teachers at the local high school collected men's and women's like kind of work clothes or interview appropriate clothes, and he had this big closet because he worked in one of the poorer schools, and these kids that were going to job interviews, first of all, they didn't know what they were supposed to do, but they had no idea what they were supposed to wear. And so it was really easy to donate those kinds of clothes to that. So find somewhere where you can feel good about donating. Okay, I get off the soapbox on that. All right. Okay, so you have to remember the most important thing is what's happening in your head. And that is, to beat a dead horse, the reason I wrote the book. The other thing you have to remember is there is no right answer. There are just right questions. Okay. So everybody is going to have different answers for all the things that we go through in this challenge. The important thing is that you are answering the questions and you are learning to think about, and we talked about a lot of you from the Get Organized Challenge from the craft room. This is going to sound familiar to you, but taking a moment to think about something and really coming up with what the answer is and why it works for you, it does a lot of really great things for your brain. And practicing it is life-changing, not just in your closet or your silverware drawer, but the way it extends out into life in general. It makes a huge difference when you can question the things and then write down, come up with your own answers, which is why it's really important to have a notebook of some sort, because you're going to go through a lot of mental process where you want to write things down and come up with those answers. All right. So turn the page. What do you need to be successful this week? Read the book, get a notebook or a binder to keep everything together. So you can use a file folder, whatever it is. But all of these things that I'm going to talk about right now, all of these things need to be together. So a notebook with all your notes in it, with your handouts from class. Measuring tape is going to be super helpful. Graph paper is great, not necessary. You can draw things out just on a regular piece of notebook paper, but for some of us, graph paper is the thing to do. Other people can just sketch things, but that's going to be helpful for you. You are going to need what I'm calling a go back basket or a go back bin. And this is part of your organizing kit. And it is the thing that you are going to have when you are, we're going to start in your landing zone launch pad today, that things that don't belong there, but they do belong somewhere else in your house, they're going to go into that go back basket or bin. You're not going to start organizing this one little space and then take all these side trips to move things around. You're going to put them into this go back basket. And then when you're done, you're going to pick up the basket, walk around the house, and return things to where they belong. So it is part of your organizing kit to have this go back basket. It could be a big tote bag, anything that's easy for you to move around. Then you also are going to need a donate or garage sale box, bin, tote, whatever, again, what you need. These are the staple things that you're going to have with you every time you start an organization project. And then you are also going to have a garbage bag of some sort. Now your donate box bin, that's going to stick around with you forever now. Mine is in my laundry room. It's wherever the most, for me, it's clothes that are the thing I donate most. So it's going to end up in a stationary place in your house, maybe somewhere that your kids, your partners, whoever, understand to use it as well. And then every time it gets full, it goes to the Goodwill or wherever you donate things. But you're going to have that with you in this challenge series every time you start a project. Garbage bags, I said. And then create a file on your phone or on your computer, because what I really want you to do is take pictures before, maybe during, and definitely after, and have those on your phone. So when things are overwhelming, you can be like, yeah, I started here and it was a mess and now it looks like this. So I know I can get it done, right? So it's so great to see that before and after. And I want you to post those in the Home Organization Challenge group, because every week we're going to choose a winner from people who have posted about their progress. Now, you do not have to complete the tiny task of the week in order to be entered to win. You just have to put up something that says, this is how far I made it. This is what I'm doing, right? Of course, I hope that you will complete every tiny task every week. I understand that life gets in the way, but I want to know that you are making some sort of progress every week. And then anybody who puts up a post, and it has to start with progress post week 1 or progress post week 2, whatever it is. And then we will put you in the mix for a prize, and we give away a gift certificate every week to the website. So you can get yourself some fun organizing things. Okay. 2 things that you really need to think about. One of them is power of pretty. So when you're cleaning up your space and getting things organized, if you can make it a little bit more pretty, a little bit more appealing, it's going to be easier to keep it that way. So don't underestimate the power of cuting something up, even if it's just a tiny little thing. And I'm going to bring some pictures up here in a minute. We'll talk about those things. Next thing, really important, easy gets done. And when I say easy gets done, I mean, you want to keep it easy to put things away. And a lot of times that has to do with the space, the containers. Do they have lids? Do you have to open a cabinet? Do you have to pull something out? Do you have to take a lid off? Do you have to take something else out to put that in? So the easier you can make it to just put things away, the better off you're going to be. Okay. All right. So let's get to your launch pads and your landing zones and your launch pads. Everybody has these in their home. The landing zone, where you come in and set things down. The launch pad, is what sends you out the door. For some people, it's the same place, right? For me, My landing zone is this kitchen counter in the kitchen. So I come in with whatever I have, groceries, mail, Amazon boxes, that's where they go. And from that spot, they get disseminated to where they belong. That's my landing zone, right? My launch pad, I actually have 2 launch pads, is the trunk of my car. Anything that's leaving my house, I back my car in the garage, I lift up the hatch, I have like a little crossover. I lift up the hatch, even though there's nothing in there. And then throughout the day or whatever, everything that's leaving my house, it goes right out the garage and goes right into the trunk of my car. Super easy, right? There's no stopping anywhere. That works because the way my house is set up and how my life is set up, but you have your own launch pads, you have your own landing zones. And so what's important is that those areas are set up for what you do in them, right? So I've come up with this series of questions about your landing zone in your launch pad in the Tiny Task handout. You need to go through those and answer those questions for yourself so that you know, what is this area? What does it look like? How does it function now? How do I want it to function? It would be amazing if I could come to everybody's house and evaluate each space, but everybody's space is different. So these questions are going to lead you through that. Are there seasonal changes, right? I live in Arizona. We don't have any seasonal changes here. But if you live somewhere where in the summer, the launch pad has flip-flops and, sun hats, but in the winter, it has galoshes and gloves and scarves and winter coats, you need to be prepared for that and aware of it. There's so many things that are going to affect that space. And when you design it and when you work through it, you want to keep those things in mind. So you're going to go through all the different questions that we have here on the couple of pages of the Tiny Task worksheet. And then you're going to start taking those steps of getting organized. And I want you to just work in one. And I could read the questions, but most of you printed it so you could read the questions yourselves and answer them for yourself, right? So this is, again, why the notebook part of it is so important. And then you're going to go through the tiny task steps. Okay, I'm going to bring up a couple of pictures here, and I'm going to talk about some different, if my mouse will work, I'm going to. Okay, Mousy, where are you? Oh, and it worked. Okay, I'm going to split my screen here, and I'm going to talk about different areas. So this is kind of a messy kitchen. It's a small kitchen. But what I want you to notice here is the amount of stuff that's on the counter. And all that stuff that's on the counter in this kitchen is preventing anything else from happening there. I mean, it could potentially be the landing zone for this house also. But space is really important. And it's valuable. And space allows you to do things. It allows you to cook. It allows you to land. If it's at a table, it allows you to have dinner with somebody. If it's on your desk, it allows you to get to work right away, right? Space is very valuable. And I think people don't think about that enough. We try to fill our space with things, but you need to leave space for whatever is happening in your life to happen in that space as well. So as you're thinking about this landing zone and these different places, I want you to think about leaving space wherever it is so that you can do the work you need to do in those spaces. So this is a picture of a closet. And what I want you to think about here in this, I guess this idea of the closet, obviously it's a mess. But if you think about how things are oriented in the closet or how the space is used in the closet, with this closet, there are 2 really easy solutions. One of them is to, well, the best solution is to pull those drawers out of there and put just shelves or a shelving unit along the side of the closet where the clothes are piled up, right? So maybe everything that's in that drawer, in those drawers, could then go on the shelves, and then the area where the drawers are could actually be hanging space that was useful. But a lot of times, I guess my point here is a lot of times we put something in there like this drawer unit. We don't really think about it. Like even if you had taken that drawer unit and twisted it the other way and put it along the wall, it wouldn't be as convenient to get the drawers open, but it would store a lot more stuff, it was a lot more user friendly. But when you're looking at your space and you're deciding, what do I need here to make this space functional? Try to think of 3 or 4 different scenarios that would work, right? So if your first idea here was, let's put these drawers in the closet, that'll be helpful. That's one idea. Then I want you to think about other things. And lots of times, and those of you who have taken the Get Organized Challenge, you know about me moving anything I can goes vertical because it's easy to get it in and out. Same idea here. Think about how you could use what you could move around in that space at a different angle that would make it much more functional. Okay. What do we have here? We have a space that could be really functional, but it looks like two things are probably happening. There was no buy-in here. Nobody agreed to put their shoes in those bins. That's number one. Number two, there's an umbrella, but nowhere really to put the umbrella. So if you live somewhere where there's an umbrella, this is what I was talking about. How is your space used and how are you going to plan for it? And the other thing that I think might be a problem here is that in those bins, you have no idea what's in there, right? So the idea of putting bins in there is cute, and it's what you see when you are looking at Pinterest and Instagram. Everybody has these bins and they're unlabeled and they're cute and everything's pretty, but it's very hard to keep them maintained, especially because you might be the only person who knows what's in those bins or what's supposed to be in the bins because they're unlabeled. So something like this, again, thinking about, okay, in this space, how could I make this more functional? And just adding a couple of shoe shelves, even if they're just the wire shelves or some of those wooden shelves that you just, that just kind of stand on each other. And all of a sudden you would have space there for a dozen pair of shoes that were all visible and accessible rather than having everything kind of all over, all over your space in that way. All right, let's see. So this is a super functional space, but it's ugly, right? It's perfect. It's a small space. It's accommodating a lot of things. Everything is visible. Everything is accessible. I love that, but it's ugly. And so, just this is what I was talking about. Don't underestimate the power of pretty. So adding something here that makes this look better, maybe lowering the shelf a little bit that's up there and the hooks. But this is really the ultimate in function. But it just kind of lacks anything that's really like aesthetically pleasing. So I definitely prefer function over beauty. But I think there's a happy medium here where you could kind of add something to that and really make it look great. What do I love about this? Okay, so this is the problem when you look at organizing tips and tricks and videos and photos. Everything's super cute and it looks like this, and no one really lives that way, right? That's not really how life is, but it looks good. And that's one of the things I'm trying to sort of counter in this class is you can have things that kind of look pretty and that look functional, but don't expect a Pinterest, Instagram life, and don't expect everybody else to follow along with that. So this is cute, but I'm going to tell you what I love about it. If you look at the way the shoes are in the bin underneath the coats, it's really easy to take your shoes off right there by the door, hook the heels with your 2 fingers and drop them into that tote or that bin or whatever that box is. So this idea of getting your shoes vertical, especially if you just have a small entryway, instead of trying to put them on a shelf that's 12 inches deep, if you've got a box here that's 6 inches deep, then you're going to be able to do that. And it's easy to put them in the box. And guess what else? Something else I love. Look, I'm such a geek. I'm getting excited about this. You can hook them with your 2 fingers and get them out and put them on the floor and put them on. So it's one movement into the storage container and it's one movement out of the storage container. There's no lid, there's no drawer, there's no nothing. It's just lift it in, lift it out, one motion with one hand. So I'm geeking out over that idea, but I totally love that concept. Okay, what do we have here? We have, again, a couple of small spaces. And so this is 2 separate pictures. But the thing the thing I liked about the picture with the hat and the mirror is that there is a tiny little shelf above those hooks. So that makes it really helpful for things like maybe mail or car keys or dog leash or that kind of thing. So when you're thinking, do I want to just put up hooks or do I need a shelf or can I use a shelf here? Even if your shelf is very thin, like this one is, it still could be quite useful depending on what else you need. So again, just thinking about that space. And then something we don't use very often anymore, you don't see that often, are coat racks like this tall, narrow coat rack in the other picture. So think about that as well. Like, can I go up and stay in a small space, but kind of max out, right? You could put 4 coats on that and your purse and your umbrella, and you have this little bit of space. So just because you don't have a big launch pad area doesn't mean you can't somehow get everything you need to have for launch into that area. So a lot of different really sort of cool ways to address those small spaces as well. I would encourage you to look through to look at things online and look for ideas for things that work, but don't think you have to look like this, right? This is adorable. This is Pinterest perfect. Some people live in Pinterest perfect land. They probably have housekeepers who go through and tidy up after, put their kids' red boots back where they belong. But what I did like about this was that everybody does have has their own space, and that makes it easy also. I love the wire baskets, because if you're putting things in there, you can see that something's in there. So if it's launch pad and it's kids' homework or something you need to take to work or you need to take out the door with you, they're very visual. But with this, it's very Pinterest perfect, but more the idea of if you need to give everybody their own space, what does everybody need in their own space to make that launch pad or that landing zone function for them? So a little bit different for everybody who's in different stages of our lives, how we need to use those spaces. Okay, so in this picture, again, I love that they use wire baskets. So they also use bins, which you can't see, and nobody knows what's in them. There's probably nothing in there because it's a magazine layout. But I love the wire bins. I think that is a great idea. They're cute. They're a little bit different than the classic bin, the basic bins that you always see. But you don't have to worry about putting a label on them, and everybody can see what's in them. So that's another thing, right? How easy is it to know what is in that box or bin or tote or whatever it is? You will know what's in there, but everybody else who uses that space also has to know. And how are you going to relay that information? I worked with a gal who had labeled all the bins in her kids' playroom, and her kids weren't even old enough to read. And she didn't understand, like, why is this not working? Well, they have no idea what's in there or what's supposed to be in there. So she kind of switched to pictures. And again, as your life evolves and what's happening in your life evolves, your space is going to evolve, and the way the space is needed and used is also going to evolve. So keep all that in mind. All right, my last picture here. So I think this is a great space. Why? It has everything that needs to be part of a launch pad in there. So as a launch pad space, there's somewhere to sit down and put your shoes on. Everything is very visual. The clear baskets. There's a clock. There's a bulletin board, chalkboard combo thing. So this is in the notes that you're going to go through, the worksheet that you're going to work through for your launch pad and landing zone. What do you need in that space? Does it need a bulletin board, a clock, a calendar, something like that, so everybody can use it? But I also love the cute monkey backpack. But the idea here behind this is a space that looks like it would really function. It's cute and it looks like it would really function. So as you're working through your spaces and you're looking at maybe ideas for what you want to do online, does it function? And does it function for everybody? These are really, really the sort of key facts to what you need to do for this space. So if you have questions, now is a great time to pop them up. I know Katie's been putting some, it looks like people have been asking some questions, making some suggestions. My feed doesn't go as fast, but we've got the workbook. Okay. Okay. Katie, I'm ready, Katie. Bring them on. Okay, so the question is, how do we get past the shiny object syndrome, which is so prevalent today, right? The more, it's so easy. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Amazon. I mean, you literally can just shop in a second. It shows up at your door the next day. It's so easy. But then you accumulate all this stuff. And there's all these other things that can go along with that because financially, you have this risk of it's so easy to spend money and buy that next thing. And then it gets to the house, and then you're like, where am I going to put it? How much space is it going to take up? And then, should I be buying this? Who do I need to hide it from? Who do I need to share it with? There's so many things that happen in there, and they're all happening right here. But here's how to avoid it. It's what we call shopping with intention. I was going to talk more, or we'll talk more about it later. But so when you get in this shiny object mode, it's a frenzy that's created in your brain, right? It's like, oh, this is fun. It's cool. I love it. I'm going to get it. So easy. Press a button, go. Especially you have your credit card saved on your phone or your device, whatever you're using. It's fast. It's easy. Your addresses, and you don't even have to do any of those things anymore, right? Everything's just automatic. So all you have to do is ask yourself one question. Doesn't matter what the question is. When you are what we call shopping with intention, that means you're slowing down your brain. I just need to slow down my brain for a minute. So before I push the buy now button, right? So to do that, all you have to do is ask yourself a question. Let's say it's a shirt, a blouse, right? That you're buying. That's the shiny object. And if you stop and say, okay, do I have another blouse like this? Or do I have something else that will go with this? Or where am I going to put this when I get it? Right? Any one of those kinds of questions are going to stop your brain from the frenzy of buying and start your brain on the path of what if? What if I had it? What would I do with it? Right? And that's going to slow you down. And just slowing down and taking kind of a breath. And also in the book, I talked about the value of taking a deep breath, which is something that's kind of annoying when people say, but there is value there. But when you stop your brain, ask it something else, and then you can continue down that path. So one way, especially managing clothing, is to say, stop your brain. What does this go with? Okay, I've stopped my brain now. Well, in your closet, if you limit yourself to a set number of hangers, that's your rule. I have a hanger rule. My hanger rule is I can't add any more hangers. So now if I'm buying this thing, something else has to go. And then your brain again is now like, okay, what am I going to get rid of? And then again, you've taken the step back and you can go forward with, what am I going to get rid of? I'm going to get rid of it first, right? And here's what happens when you start purging things. It feels good. It feels good to go in your closet and have space. It feels good to open your kitchen silverware drawer, and instead of having 50 serving spoons, you've weeded out and down to 3. So now you can see them and you can get to them, and it's not overwhelming. You don't feel like, it's so in your head, my friend. Everything is in your head first. And so that's the way that's my best advice for avoiding the shiny object, is not telling yourself, I'm not going to shop anymore. I'm done shopping. It's taking a moment and asking yourself a question. And, a lot of times you're going to go, do I need this beige sweater? I love the beige sweater. And then if the question is, do I have anything like it? Your brain is going to be like, yeah, you have 3 beige sweaters. 2 of them you haven't even worn. 1 of them you don't even know where it is. And so you start to think about things methodically and reasonably, just because you've broken that craziness of shopping. And it is, I mean, it's so crazy right now how easy it is to get things. I mean, it's insane. So yes, ask a question, ask yourself a question, and make some rules. Don't be afraid to make rules and write them down and post them wherever they're appropriate, right? Closet and craft supplies seem to be the two. So with some women, it's jewelry and makeup also, right? So all of those things, set some rules for yourself, pause, take a breath, and then how am I going to move on? All right, Katie, another question? Will the weekly handouts be available beforehand? Yes, generally they will be. I will send out an email before, like I did today, that should have a link to the handout in it. And then also, as we get those weekly pages up, it'd be my goal to have them there earlier in the day so that before class, if you didn't get the email, you can go week 2, week 3, click on that and download so that when I'm talking, you have what I'm talking about sitting in front of you. So that is my goal, to have them in advance, at least the day of, they'll be available. Okay. Question, does there have to be a picture in our progress post, or can we just say what we did? There does not have to be a picture. You can just put progress post and you can say what you did. That is fine. However, the more out there you are, the more you put yourself out there, and the more public you are, the more likely you are to accomplish the task. So if your landing zone is so overwhelming that you don't want to post a picture of it, only do a tiny corner. Only do a tiny bit of the landing zone. You don't have to accomplish whole rooms or whole spaces, right? Some people, all they're going to do is swipe everything down and buy a new box to put mail in, and their landing zone is going to be good to go, right? Or their launch pad or whatever it is, they're kind of already there. And some people are going to have this massive job in front of them. And the goal is in this class that you do a tiny thing, one tiny thing from start to finish, because so many things happen when you accomplish something and you check the box, right? So putting the pictures up, no, you do not have to do it. But I promise you, if you are part of the Home Organization Challenge group, there are people who are bold and brave, and they will put up pictures that they feel embarrassed about, but they know, I'm going to get this cleaned up. I'm going to show myself and these 600 or 800 people, however many people are on the Home Organization Challenge, I'm going to show them that I got this task done, right? So I would recommend, you don't have to do it, but I think the braver you are about posting, the more successful you're going to be. And here's another thing, like this, I've worked with so many people, and I know there's all this anxiety about it. And I want you to think about some of the hardest things you've ever done in your life, and think about how anxious you were about it and how hard it was to go through this thing. And then when you went through the thing and you looked back, you're like, that wasn't so bad, right? The anxiety we build up before doing something, is usually never as bad when we get to the end and look back as we thought it was going to be. So, but recognize what's happening in your head, all those things, just recognize it and it will be so much easier. All right, Katie, what else you got? All right, my friends, I think we got all the questions answered. I will read through the feed as best I can. And please post your questions on the Home Organization Challenge Facebook page. I will watch them. Katie will watch them. We'll try to get things answered there as well. I'm really, really looking. Oh, look, I blew the half hour right out of the water. Sorry, everybody. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing your posts and to seeing your progress and moving through the Home Organization Challenge with all of you. So thanks so much for being part of the 2 Tribe and the Home Organization Challenge Tribe. And I will see all of you next week right here, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, Tuesday live, Home Organization Challenge night. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.